today we're going to talk about how to go from unknown to well-known with your message. As you know, the first thing that a person sees is your message. If you do not know how to clearly articulate what you do, if you do not know how to write in a way that makes people stop and take notice, then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle with creating offers. You're going to struggle with filling your coaching programs. You're going to struggle with filling your groups, with everything that you think of. You're going to struggle if you do not get your message and your messaging down pat. So the title is How to Go from Unknown to Well-Known with Your Message. And I want to first start with, what does being well-known mean to you? All right. I want to start there because I believe that depending on your definition of being well-known, that will determine what you're going to do. You know, I know for me, I'm not the most well-known person, right? But I'm known for what I do, right? So when people think of Nyala, they definitely think of, helping you market your message, right? So I'm known for that. I'm known in my community that I'm consistently building. And then another thing is I'm known by the right people. All right. And so my definition for being well known is exactly that: being known by your community members and the people who you are meant to serve, being known by the right people that's going to help you, right? That's going to propel you further in your business. That's what's more important than just being well known. There's a lot of people who are popular, but they're not paid. Okay. There's a lot of people that's popular, but and that was me back in the day. If you don't know anything about my story, I used to run a women's empowerment company called We Win Movement. And we had over 40,000 followers on Instagram, steadily growing. We used to do live events and people knew We Win Movement, right? However, behind the scenes, I was not making any money. Right? We were barely breaking even with our events. My business was not structured to be able to get profits. I was not coaching it through that business. So we weren't making money. So it's all right to be popular, but if you're not growing, then what's the point? So I always say you want to be popular on purpose, right? Popular on purpose. So what does being well-known mean to you? That's the first thing. Hey, Jonica, welcome. Thank you for joining. And you're always here, so thank you. So yeah, what does being popular mean to you? All right, that's where I want you to start. And then I'm going to give you 2 tips today. We're going to be really quick today, but I want to give you 2 tips for you to really think about. And the first tip is getting others to endorse you. If you want to go from being unknown to being well-known, the quickest way to do that is by getting other people to endorse you. Okay. So if you've ever heard of the Oprah Effect, I just want you to give me a 1 below if you've ever heard of the Oprah Effect. And if you haven't, let me explain. So the Oprah Effect is basically when Oprah shouted out or brought certain people on her show back in the day. And from just doing that one thing, they blew up. Like, who can I think of? Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, Gayle King, the lady that does the counseling, that Eliana Van Zan, I always say her name wrong. These are people who Oprah, shouted out, brought them on her platform, and they became big. But you might say, well, these are celebrities, Nyala. How can I compare myself to celebrities? Well, Oprah has also done it for people who weren't celebrities, where she went on her page and she posted her favorite products that she used, the favorite stores that she shopped at. And guess what? The internet broke. Their website broke because it was filled with sales. Their social media grew tremendously because of them being endorsed by somebody else in the industry. Okay. So how can you implement the Oprah effect in your own business? Very simple: collaboration. All right. And so if you see the name of this group, especially for those who you're new to the community, you see that that's what we're about: collaboration, connections. Why? Because you grow in numbers. If the right person calls your name in the right room, you can automatically start growing. All right. So here's some examples of what you can do as a coach to start getting endorsed. All right. Because it's not only somebody sharing, it's not as small as someone sharing your post on their social media platforms. Even though that's great, it's not only that. There are other things that you could do that will actually force people to endorse you without actually knowing that they're endorsing you. All right. So that's what I want to talk about. The first thing is if you do podcast interviews. All right. When you do podcast interviews, meaning you not owning the podcast, but you're going and you're getting interviewed on different podcasts, what that podcast host is doing is they are endorsing you. They are saying your story needs to be heard. Your product, needs to be shared. Everything that you do is so good that I want to be able to share it with my audience. So if you focus on getting a lot of podcast interviews, guess what? You're going to be endorsed day and night because people listen to podcasts all the time. On top of that, let's go a step further because and this is, I didn't plan on mentioning this, but this is something that I see people struggle with when it comes to their podcast interviews, and that is not leveraging it, right? And so you get the opportunity to go on someone's podcast, but you're not sharing it enough, or you only share it that day that your interview goes live and then no one sees it again. And that's not a good thing. You want to continue leveraging it and sharing that, make little snippets, posting it on your different platforms, getting other people to share it in your groups. Why? Because every time you do that, you are positioning yourself, you are becoming well known, and you are using other people's celebrity to grow your own. Okay, so podcast interviews is a great way. Again, those of you who are here, definitely say hello to me below. I'm just going to invite some people to come on over and join me. All right. Hold on. Because there are some people who said they really wanted to get this content this morning, and I was late, so I think I missed some people. But yeah, podcast interviews is one. The second thing, which is very similar to podcast interviews, speaking. All right. So as a coach, you have a story. Okay. And if you don't, definitely get into the Monetize Your Message Challenge. The link is above. Okay. Because we're going to be talking about this. On Saturday, I put a post in a fellow colleagues group, and I asked them the same question that I asked you guys in this group last week, which was, coaches, what is your Ihealth statement, right? This is your $1 million message. This is what says who you are, what do you do, who you help, why you help them, and why they should care, okay? And I'm telling you, I see it, and it's like, what is that? How are people supposed to understand what you do, right? If you're not clear. So this is really big. When it comes to being a coach, you're sharing a message. Your message has to be clear. And one of the best ways to share your message is by speaking. So one is podcast interviews, two is speaking. Okay. When you speak on other people's stages, guess what? You are becoming more well-known because they are endorsing you. And now that we are virtual because of COVID, you have no excuses to be on other people's stages. My co-host, Demetia, she does a yearly summit. All right. And it's called the Corporate Hustle Summit, where she's talking all about people who have 9-to-5 jobs and how they're growing their businesses online. And guess what? She features 20 plus speakers every single year. She's planning that right now. If you guys want that opportunity, tap into her. People are in this group. They have other Facebook groups where you can go and speak in their group, connect with them, and start to use each other's or borrow each other's celebrities, get endorsed. Okay, so speaking. Another one. I told you, this is not as simple as getting somebody to share your post. There are things that you can be doing every day. Here's another one, writing articles. So I'm not a writer. I like to speak, but I know a lot of you like writing. If you do, write articles. There is a website called Medium. Write that down, where you can open up a free account and you can literally post your articles there. And guess what? That Medium website gets millions of views every single month. So just like that, you are becoming well known. Why? Because they are endorsing you by allowing you to write articles on their platform. LinkedIn is another place where articles are big. Right? And you could be posting these articles, and just like that, LinkedIn is pushing out your articles to people who are on that platform. That's a great way to become more well-known with your message. Guys, you got to be proactive about this type of stuff. We are in a new year. It's no more playing small. You got to get your message out there. You can, in number 2, which I don't want to skip ahead, but I'm going to skip ahead anyway. In number 2, I have here on my notes, you can build it all you want, but they will not come. So you could take all the time to put together great presentations. You could take all the time to put together bomb offers. But if you are not getting out there and becoming more known with your message, ain't nobody buying. So you got to be real proactive. Here's another tip that I'm going to give you. Yes, I come every week and I'm giving you tips to grow your business, but you don't have to do all of them. This is something that people would not tell you out there. You don't have to do all of them. Pick one, pick a lane that works for you, run with it, become a master at it. And so if you're going to pick podcast interviews as your way of doing things, then I expect that every single week you are pitching at least 10 podcasts. You are making connections with at least 10 podcast hosts. You are in at least 10 Facebook groups where podcast is the main subject. So you can connect with more people. So don't try to do it all. Pick one and run with it. Here's another idea, media. So this one I put last because this is the one that I think is a little bit more, you have to be a little bit more strategic to get into media. So one, you need a clear message. Two, you need to go through the time of building rapport. Three, you need to reach the right people like journalists, depending on what type of media you're going for. But media is another great way to start becoming well known. There is one of my colleagues, his name is Kyle Dendy. You can find him on Instagram. Okay. And what he does is amazing. So he runs a PR agency. And I saw this around Black Friday. I don't know if he's still running this, but I want y'all to check this out. Okay. So he was running a special for $99 where he would get you published in ABC, CBS, NBC. That's how come if you go to my website and you see featured in, you see those stuff there. Right? Because I was able to get myself in these different publications by writing an article and doing interviews. Okay. And so he was doing this special for $99 where all you do is you fill out an application with some questions that he asks you. And then his team writes the article and publish it because he has the connections with these different online publications. What would it do for you if you now can have on your website, on your lead pages, on your programs that you were as seen in some of these bigger publications? What does it do? It gives you that that clout. It gives you that feeling of, wow, I'm in these publications and now other people are seeing it and they start to trust you more. All right. So it's not only about, yeah, I'm going to become well known, but you're still instilling trust. Why? Because of what I'm giving you. Other people endorsing you. Other people endorsing you. It's one thing to go around and beat your chest and say how good you are. And it's another thing when other people are like, wow, this person has a message that you need to know, you need to hear. Okay. So that's my first tip, getting others to endorse you. Here's my second. And if you guys are here, I'm seeing the numbers, just say hello. Okay. All right. Here's my second. So inside of my business, I teach my clients something called traffic jams. Okay. And this goes back to what I mean when I say, you know, you could build it all you want, but they will not come, right? You have to get yourself out there. And so one of the things that we do in Market Your Message is we do monthly traffic jams. Summits is a great way to do traffic jams because with the summit, you could get anywhere from 300, 500, 1,000 people to register for your summit, to hear these experts teach. And that's growing your list very, very quickly. That's helping you become more well-known by what? The right people, okay? So summits is one that we do. Challenges is one that we do. We have a challenge coming up here. Our presentations is one that we do. But there are many ways that you can do monthly traffic jams. And what I advise you to do is open up your piece of paper, write from February to December, and decide what traffic jam you're going to do every month to be able to bring a bunch of people in at one time. Okay. What most coaches struggle with, the coaches who we serve, is they have what I call the trickle effect. So you get one client, one lead today, none tomorrow, right? Next week, you might get 10 leads, then none the next week. That's the trickle effect. And what you want is you want to open up the flood. You want to flood, right? You want a whole bunch of people coming at one time. And that's what happens when you do monthly traffic jams, okay? So this is how you become well-known, and you become well-known very quickly. I have another client who's here in the group. Her name is Kim Ikemia Arrington, and she helps people with doing virtual events. which is a form of traffic jams, okay? Because when you could do a virtual event and get a lot of people to come at one time, guess what happens? You are going to grow. You're going to become well known. And on top of that, you're going to make more sales. You're going to get more clients. Okay. Last year, not 2020, 2019, we did the first ever Market Your Message Live. Unfortunately, we were not able to do it in 2020, but we did it in 2019. We had 20 people in the room and closed $64,000 in sales. We didn't even have to have 100 people in the room. And that's why I said in the beginning, what does being well known mean to you? Because being well known by the right people doesn't mean that you have to have 1,000 or 10,000 people in your audience. That just means that you can have 500 of the right people and still reach your goals. And by being well known by the right people. Does that make sense, guys? All right. So let's recap one more time. Number one, I want you to think about, what does being well known mean to me? Am I going to be popular and unpaid, or am I going to be popular on purpose? Okay. Once you decide that, one of the easiest ways to become well known is by getting other people to endorse you. I gave you 4 ways. I'm going to give you so many more ways when you get into the Monetize Your Message Challenge. Make sure you register for that. The ways we talked about today is podcast interviews. Get those hosts to endorse you. Speaking on other people's stages, speaking in other people's Facebook groups, get people to endorse you. Last month, we did our giveaway. We had 10 experts, and I'm putting this out here because at the end of the day, you're not looking for somebody to mince words with you. Y'all trying to grow, right? So we had 10 experts that came in here to be a part of the giveaway. And we only had about 3 or 4 of those 10 that took advantage of doing a training in front of almost 4,000 women. I have a list, a huge email list. And one of the benefits of being a part of the giveaway was not only that you got to go live and train in this group, but that I emailed my list and told them, come watch the training or watch the replay. But there are people who didn't take advantage. Guys, you got to get serious about this. It's very easy to go in other people's Facebook groups, train, and get clients, get attention, get leads, become well known, make connections, get collaborations. This is what it's all about. Growth, right? Okay. So podcast interviews, speaking, writing articles, but on other people's platforms. That's what I mean when I say get them to endorse you, writing on other people's platforms. And then media, getting media attention is another way to get people to endorse you, okay? Second thing is monthly traffic jams. So figure out what your monthly traffic jams are going to be, put a game plan into play, and make it happen.